Friends, we have a worrying trend starting to happen out there. We are seeing Catholic high schools and Catholic schools particularly, as well as conservative schools and particularly red areas of the country that are being targeted with false mass shooter reports. We have 28 schools in Massachusetts, a noticeable number of them being Catholic, preparatory schools as well, private schools being targeted particularly. We have in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania here, this is where it kind of popped up on my radar first. 2 Catholic schools here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania were targeted with hoax reports to 911 that there was an active school shooter. Big deal down in Central Catholic here in Pittsburgh, particularly all over the local news here. Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, that's a very conservative area. Those schools being targeted too. And really where this is coming from seems to be, as I've been seeing some of the toxic stuff going on Twitter, is after this mentally disturbed person attacked the students down in Tennessee, murdering 7 people. Now, I always consider the person that murders themselves biblically and just they don't have the right to kill themselves either. 7 people murdered. This mentally ill person who has a very distinct political leaning and a woke mentality. We're seeing these type of attacks, but then you could just one-off these, and yet when we go onto Twitter and we're seeing all these people saying that they're glad this happened and that they wish more of this would happen, and they're all coming from one political end of the spectrum here. And that is what is most concerning, because the woke culture inherently is cowardly. They think that there is nothing that is morally off limits, no actions that are despicable if their cause is righteous in their own minds. And they believe wholeheartedly in the green movement. They believe wholeheartedly in all of these woke agendas like the LGBTQ and all that. They believe in these policies that they're pushing everywhere, and nothing is off limits to them. Anyone who opposes them, they can try to assault them outside of their homes, even if they're Supreme Court justices. They can intimidate. They can ban you from speaking. The reports that have been coming out of Twitter over the last number of months show that they knew that the things that were being reported were true, but they said that could still undermine our agenda. And so they banned and marked and falsely labeled true facts, true stories to be fact-checked and to undermine these things, even though they knew them to be true. And that's who we're dealing with as we're talking about this culture war that's happening in the United States. And now mark my words, they're going after the kids. They have tried everything to go for the shock value of things in order to wake people up. But now they're realizing that in order to really push their agenda, they think that they can go after the soft targets of our kids. And they are. And the messaging is filing down to the lower ranks that this is now acceptable, and violence and threatening violence against youth is now being seen as acceptable by far too many people. Far too many people who have Twitter accounts, for sure. And this is going to get ugly, folks, because they're just pushing all sorts of misinformation right now. They're going after the 15s if you know what I mean. The boomsticks that have 15 in the name. I can't even say that, or else this video will get... They're saying that's what was used down there, and that's not even true. Not even true in the first place. They keep regurgitating all sorts of stories out there that have been disproven in the past about those 15s, right? Boomsticks. And it's just, they are going to advance their agenda, and they will use any means necessary. And we're seeing that more and more as they get more bold and frustrated. And that's really what we see there, is this frustration that they are not accomplishing they're not forcing all of their demands upon us fast enough. I mean, remember when President Obama ran for his second term, and he denounced gay marriage. Yeah, that wasn't very long ago. How many years ago was that? Where the Democratic nominee was against gay marriage. Yeah, blows your mind, doesn't it? That's how fast these things have been jammed down our throats, and yet it's still not fast enough for them. It's slow enough that they feel like they need to attack the kids of people who disagree with them now. Advocating violence, threatening violence. What they did to intimidate the Supreme Court justices, they now intend to intimidate you, me, and everyone else. There's all sorts of people right now getting on social media, brandishing weapons, and threatening people. And I'm only seeing this from one side of the spectrum here politically. The super liberal, and I understand not every Democrat is woke liberal, but the woke liberal wing is ultra violent, ultra cowardly. We saw this with the Antifa movement, where they only attack people who are unarmed. They only attack people from behind. They only attack people when they can mob them. They only attack people when the police in that city are actually defending them. And then they can do whatever they want to do. They want to make sure that the prosecutors in that county, in that city, are going to back them up, and then they will do the things that they want to do. And if they try moving into an area where they don't have the police backing them up, we saw that in Tennessee. How fast did the police go into the school and save the children? It was fast, friends. They went in and they rescued the kids like that. Unlike what has happened in a lot of these blue states where the police have just not done anything. They've stood around. They've been ordered to stand down. Friends, what do? We need to do our best to protect our kids. Do whatever you can to encourage policies in your school districts, especially where your kids or your friends' kids go, to encourage that they take steps to protect the children. Not like more surveillance, but actual protection. Because that's the only way these things end, is when somebody who has a boomstick ends the problem. And the faster the person can be there to do the saving, if the person can be there already to do the saving, that's what makes all the difference in the world. Because, yeah, we have guns available in this country. We do. You can get guns. I mean, and we believe that that is enshrined in the Constitution. We believe that that is vitally important, because every time guns get taken away from civilians, you start seeing the government coming down on them hard. Go to France. Tell me in France that there's no point to having boomsticks. Go to the UK. Go to Venezuela. Go to where the government has been able to take away these weapons and see what it looks like. Oh, there's this meme going around. It's like, how many school shootings have happened in the UK since they passed gun control, since they confiscated everyone's guns? And they're like 0. How many stabbings have happened? How many stabbings have happened? That's a question you should ask yourself. Because stabbings have gone up through the roof. Murders still happen. In fact, murders have actually gone up in the UK. Yeah, I know. We don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about how murders have actually gone up. You take away the weapons, and yet you leave the people exactly the way they are, and they will find a way. In countless countries around the world, they have found a way. Friends, it's the human heart. It's the policies, it's the policing. It's the character of the country that matters. And I am fearful for my country. We're seeing all sorts of stuff happening right now. We're seeing all sorts of lines crossed morally that are unthinkable. Children should not be attacked. And no one should ever advocate for that, period. And yet that's exactly what we're seeing. Friends, do what you can out there, because particularly conservative schools, private schools, Catholic schools seem to be disproportionately being targeted right now with threats of violence. How long before those threats start targeting churches more? In the United States, church attacks are up threefold. Threefold. You won't hear about that, and they're actually actively suppressing the numbers of church attacks, firebombings, burnings, arson attacks on churches. Yeah. It's surprising, but when you start seeing the numbers, when you start seeing what's going on out there, you see that they are actively targeting soft targets. The persecution, the violence against anyone who disagrees with them is ramping up across the country. It's going mainstream in the woke mob. And friends, if you don't believe in boomsticks, if you don't have one, if you're squeamish about that, you need to seriously think about looking at what it would take to protect your family and acquiring the tools you need to protect your family. Get classes, get educated, get practice, learn how to do so safely, okay? But a lot of people over the last number of years have realized that they need to start looking at how to protect themselves because police are not going to do it for them. Is the FBI going to come and save you? Is the ATF going to come and save you? Friends, it's looking more and more like they're going to be doing the opposite. More and more. That's what's happening. They're doing the opposite. They are not your saviors anymore. They are more and more looking like the people that you may need to be saved from. All right, folks, if you found this video to be enlightening, useful, you might want to check out another video from me right over here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.